So how'd that happen? That's what I want to talk to you about. First, I've got to say, no guarantees in this world. It could have easily have been that it didn't work at all. That is certainly a true possibility. There is no guarantee that if you do things right, things turn out right. That's not a thing in this world, but it is how you bet. That's what wisdom's about. You know, like if you're betting on boxing, the biggest and the baddest doesn't always win, but that's how you bet. And you want to keep that in mind. Well, as I was thinking this through, why exactly? What's the deal? And what dawned on me was the deal is our philosophy, the way we thought about things. And I've got to tell you, some of this came out of our religious beliefs. So I was a pastor, not trying to promote anything, but I'm saying what was going in my mind was, as a pastor and an elder in a church and taking scripture seriously, there are places in like First Timothy and Titus, really and elsewhere, but they talk about qualifications. Okay. And one of the qualifications that comes up is that a person that serves in that capacity of a pastor, elder, needs to be able to manage his own household. And as I've thought about that, managing the household, I think that is a big piece to what really worked for us or made sense for us. And so when I say something like managing, I'm talking about leadership. Sometimes people make a distinction between leaders and managers, but I think managers have to lead and leaders have to manage. So I don't think of it that way. But in managing your own home, what you have to do is have some kind of leadership structure. So let me talk to you about leadership really quickly. So leadership, the way I understand it, has three components. There's persuasion, there's progress, and there's a place to go to. So leaders are really, they're kind of answering the questions why and how and where. So you want a place to get to. So in your homeschool, how do you want this to turn out? And then you need a process. That's what we talk about. The processes we build from use different curriculum or curricula like Robinson, et cetera. But in understanding that particular game, and the how is obviously how you do it. You know, the process, the why is the persuasion, and the where is the place trying to get to. So these things come into leadership, and leadership is about this orientation to a better place. And in understanding that, what that means is for leaders to function, they actually have people that are following them, who are obeying them, who are doing what they want them to do. And I think that's the trick. Like, if you don't have a leader, you don't have leadership. If two people are in charge, no one's in charge. You have to have a single leader. Two captains can't steer a ship. Well, let's say it this way. If they can, one of them is necessary. If you drive across country, if you want misery in your car trip, have both people fighting for who gets to drive, rather than one's the main driver and one's the supportive driver. In our home, that in our orientation fell to me as the leader and Jody as the second leader, but the supporter, the helper. This isn't a sexist type thing. It isn't exactly a biblical type thing. If you took all that away, Jody would tell you, she will if you ask her, that between the two of us, I'm going to wind up being the one that leads, and she's going to be supportive. That's the game. And because of that, then the responsibility that landed on me to manage the home and to make it function, make is an overstatement, but I was responsible for that. And Jody, in supporting me, was responsible to help implement strategies. Now, did I take her advice and counsel? Yeah. But were we battling at how we're going to run homeschool? For a little bit, we were. And then we sorted it out and we quit battling, and it went really well. So here's what I see in this world these days. I see these homes are somewhat leaderless, or more specifically, the kids are the ones leading. The parents are obeying the kids. The parents are trying to find out what the kids want. So things become a negotiation, and a child's upset. I was sharing this with someone this week I was working with, and I shared about how we got our last two sons to quit fighting. And I shared the idea that, I would have them write an essay why he's wrong and I'm right. And if we read the essays, whoever won would go downtown to Chewy's and eat tres leches, and the other would move rocks around the backyard, do some project. If they solve their own conflicts without bothering us every month, then they got a free day off from school. They could put in the bank whenever they want to use it. So that really worked. And this lady looked at me and she said, but what if your kids won't write an essay? And I said, well, this was our solution. But my kids would never have thought not to write an essay. I would have just said, all right, your life stops until you write the essay. Like, stops. We're not going to youth group or scouts, or we're not doing anything. Because I'm sitting there going, I'm not following or obeying my child, because that's not how I think, and they're not qualified for it. I want to get them to be happy adults. And so we have standards, and inside of our family, that means you're going to do your work and you're going to improve, you're going to get better, and we're going to help you and cheer for you. I know you've got feelings. You can feel your feelings. Sometimes we'll help you sort out feelings. Sometimes you need to learn to manage them yourself. But fundamentally, it was understood that this is our home. We're going to do it our way. And you're in the home as a child, not in charge of the home. You get out, you can be your own leader of your own home, your own business, your own life, your own research facility, your own country, all that. Go for it. But for us, it worked in that way where mom and dad were in the leadership role. And between the two of them, one figured out who was going to, or the two figured out who's going to take the lead on this. And by the way, that can switch up. There are things that Jody does that I don't do leadership in. A lot of stuff in particular, just the two of us now, meals, I don't do anything. I'm not leading in meals. I give feedback, but I'm not picking out, choosing. I'm not doing any of that. There are lots of other things she works with in a civic context. I don't have anything to do with that. Sometimes I'm an advisor. I do things with my business life, and she's not directing that. And I think if you could grasp that idea to settle that leadership issue, and once you settle that leadership issue, make sure, and I'm dead set on this, the kids are not the leaders. And you can tell if you're obeying your children, they're the leaders. If your children are obeying you, you're the leader. Nobody's obeying each other or anything. It's leaderless. And what you want to do is just figure out how to lead. And what leadership means is not forcing things, but inviting them in this direction. It does have consequences. It does have stuff happening. But honestly, it's not that game. So if your kids are in charge, I'm going to argue you're going to have a tough time really building the homeschool you want. If you can stop the negotiation, love your kids, but see getting ready, figure out the place you want to get them to, how you're going to do it, and why. And even the persuasion's important. The why is important to win them to it. So I'd argue that the reason this happened, that a big part of what happened with us, is that we got leadership issues settled, or management, and this orientation to have a well-run home, because that would prepare the kids for life to be happy adults. And now they're doing their own homes how they want to. I'm not in charge of their homes. There's some things they do I wouldn't do. There's some things they do I wish I had done. So there's the game.